Now, the term magic was cast aside in the 20th century as being either an illegitimate thing not worthy of study or as a derogatory term. If you're looking at religion, you shouldn't be looking at magic. Now, the great J.Z. Smith, who taught at University of Chicago, and I had a chance to meet him a couple times, he very much invented the field of religious studies. And in his deep background, he studied Coptic and early Christianity. Coptic would be the version of Greek that was spoken in Egypt. Smith came to argue in 2001, and I disagree with him here, but it's a very interesting quote. And sometimes when I have in-person courses, I'll distribute this quote and we'll read through it and talk about it. So I'll read the quote to you. I see little merit in continuing the use of the substantive term magic in second-order theoretical academic discourse. He's saying this category of magic. No, it's not good. We have better and more precise scholarly taxa, the things that make up a taxonomy, for each of the phenomena commonly denoted by magic, which, among other benefits, create more useful categories for comparison. That's a good point. When you get down to looking at what are the components of magic, what things go on in magic, like ritual, like invoking or evoking a deity, or chanting a mantra, voces magicae. These are kind of interesting to go side by side in different cultures. Because in fact, if I wanted to say study Indian magic, well, there is no exact word in Sanskrit or any Indian language that is magic or is an exact cognate. So how can I compare those things if they don't have that word and they have different concepts? So for any culture I am familiar with, and who's familiar with a lot of cultures, we can trade places between the corpus of materials conventionally labeled magical, or labeled as magic, and the corpora, these texts and rituals designated by other generic terms, e.g. healing, divining, execrative, casting something away with no cognitive loss. So he's saying you don't need to use the word magic. Like, let's say if you're looking at cursing rituals, well, just look at cursing rituals and Greek discourse versus Indian discourse. You don't need to group them under magic. But I mean, I disagree in another way. The term magic still does a lot of work. See, the thing is, in the study of religion in the 19th and 20th century, it was really mired in this very anti-ritualist, very Protestant Christian understanding of religion. Religion was thought to be pious. It was thought to be introspective. It was thought to be transformative, otherworldly, the best of humanity. It united people and it caused individuals to evolve into better versions of themselves. I don't know. I don't think religion always makes us better versions of ourselves by any means. But later in the 20th century, the term magic that had been cast off for so many years came back. Like Smith says in 2001, no, we don't need to use this anymore. But even he, toward the end of his life, was using the term magic again. Why? Why did magic come back? Well, magic came back to scholarship when classicists like Christopher Faraone, who was writing in the early 90s, and others really started looking at these pragmatic rituals and saying, these are really important. These don't look like our conception of religion, but they seem to have religious significance, definitely have cultural significance. So the Hellenistic studies scholars in places like the classics, and to some degree the archaeologists, but also in a huge degree the anthropologists, started rethinking magic and taking it seriously. I mean, I myself have tried to excise or exorcise the word magic from my own research, thinking that it was too broad, maybe that it wasn't specific enough. I proposed that magic was pragmatic ritual technologies. So rituals, always rituals, that cause pragmatic, this-worldly changes. But the term magic still does a lot of work. It has utility. It groups things together when you say magic that, I mean, to some degree it is, I know magic when I see it, which was the famous thing that a Supreme Court judge says that I can't define art and pornography, but I know pornography when I see it. Interestingly, pornography, writing about women from the Greek. Anyway, so it has utility. And I would say these days, using the term magic doesn't make people afraid. They aren't afraid of magic. They don't consider magic to be illicit, illegal, or pathological in the way that it once was. When I say something is about magic, it brings excitement instead of fear or dismissal. And, the numbers of students in my courses attest to that, and the people that come to my lectures. Magic's interesting. So I was thinking, though, that maybe that big excitement is because our culture in general does not immediately dismiss magic as pathological or as wrong or as anti-religion in a way that the general culture did even 50 years ago. The term magic might not be specific enough, but I'll tell you what, if you put 5 scholars in a room and have them start talking about magic, they're going to have really similar or really related topics. So what is Indian magic? So I use what I call a constitutive definition to define magic rituals. I look for these 3 things. If it's one of these 3 things, it's magic. If it's not one of these 3 things, it's something else. Will I ever add a 4th one? I don't know. It depends if I find a text that makes me really change my mind. All right, so here we're talking about magic rituals. Everything is about rituals. The magical as an adjective, such as miracles or special powers or phenomenal abilities, the use of an adjective for magic, magical, is something different. The word magic here in magic rituals is also an adjective, a word that nuances and describes a noun, but it's a compound term. The ritual needs the magic and the magic needs the ritual. The ritual cannot be divorced from magic. Without ritual actions, then you're talking about something else, something outside this current conversation, such as India's delicious magic masala potato chips made by Lay's. I can house a bag of these things. They're like one of my favorite things in the world when I'm in Asia. And I can get them in a couple of Indian groceries here in Denver, which makes me pretty happy because I enjoy them. It's people look at them, though, if they don't know that it's an Indian spice. And you bite into them, and there's like this explosion of masala, which just means a spice, comes from the Sanskrit word misra, becomes masala, a spice mix. So it just like bangs and it hits you with like cumin and turmeric and like this weird hint of tomato, and then black salt, kala namak, a little aswetada, and methi, like, oh, it's banging. So that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about chips that are described as being magic or a spice blend that is described as being magic. That's a different usage of the term magic to describe something with preternatural power or someone with an ability that's so great at basketball that they get the name Magic Johnson. Anyway, so rituals. And what are the rituals? There are 3 things in these pragmatic ritual technologies. There are the 6 results called Shat Karman. Then there is the fantastic feats and enchanted items. So that's Kaupika Karman, which is fun to say, and Indrajala. And finally, conjuring, Yakshini Sadhana. Yakshini Sadhana is conjuring and calling up predominantly female entities, and they give you powers if you worship them correctly. How did I come to these conclusions? Reading tantras. I just read a ton of these tantras about magic, and I was like, how do I define this thing? And I said, I can't pick one thing that unites all of these, but I know as I work across different rituals and I work across different texts and different religions associated with them, these 3 things keep coming up. So like I said, there's 3 now. If I find a 4th, a text will guide me there, but I haven't found one yet. I've been looking at this for over 10 years.